What's up, Starcraft fans? Last time we did Swan with tanks and turrets. This time we'll do something more exciting. Zagara with spine crawlers, spore crawlers, and Bile Launchers. So we'll once again be on Temple of the Past. We have to protect a temple at the center of the map from waves and waves of enemies that will try to destroy said temple for 26 minutes. So thank you to Notorious Thief, who is supporting me in the immobilization wave tier, and Darth, Lucinus, and Putinus, Ishara Archon, who are supporting me in the Pulse Cannon tier. And thank you to all my supporters on Patreon. Once again, Temple of the Past, so we can select the enemy comp, which will be Roach Zerg. When it comes to Zagara's static defense, you have to manage them actively, because the Bile Launchers do not automatically target the enemy unit. Instead, you target the Bile Launchers at a specific spot on the ground, and it will continuously shoot that spot on the ground, whether there are enemies there or not. So you'll have to look at the target of your Bile Launchers and move it as it is fit. So the first part of my plan is to just rush out my economy. I am getting a spine crawler, I am getting a spawning pool here, but that spawning pool is to unlock the queen really fast. The queen will allow me to spread creep all around the map, which I will need later on, because we do need creep to place down Bile Launchers and spine crawlers and spore crawlers. That's why I'm rushing out the spawning pool. You can see it's starting right away. I do start some Zerglings to break these rocks. Another reason why I rushed out the spawning pool, I do need those Zerglings to work on these rocks, bring them down so I can start my expansion quickly. The earlier I can get my saturation up, the more resources I will have over the course of the game, and that will allow me to build more static defense and stuff to help fight the enemy. You will see later on how much it actually takes to defend using Bile Launchers. It's intuitive to think it's just easy because it hits ground and it hits air, but you'll see later on. You can see Tumor going down right away. In 1v1, players normally inject the hatchery so they can have more larva production, and that is completely understandable for 1v1 because you want to get a lot of stuff early. But in my case, I'm actually just prioritizing creep this time, so I can get all around this huge area that I have to cover. And in 1v1, they have 200 army supply, or 200 total supply. In co-op, Zagara specifically, she only has 100 supply. So her queens have to count. I can't have 50 queens like they do in 1v1. I have to balance what I have, especially the early game minerals. Expansion is almost, so you can see I'm long distance mining with these workers. That is fine because this mineral patch is completely saturated already. I'll branch off some workers into this gas. You can see I'll actually do a little trick with these Zerglings, so I'll use them to kind of make the roaches run back until Zagara's ready. And then Zagara comes out. I use these hunter killers right away to fight the wave. Meanwhile, Zagara deep tunnels immediately to this corner of the map to take out this hatchery or this hive. This hive will continuously produce these drones and also roaches and other enemies. So I want to take this out immediately so that I will not have to worry about that stuff later on. Deep tunnel back here. So I'll fight whatever's remaining of that wave. I finish off that drone, very important, so that we don't have to deal with that later. If I let that drone live, I'm 100% certain it will remake the lost hive. Use the Bailing Barrage to delete that wave, as well as the hunter killers. You can see Tumors on the way. Meanwhile, I use another Bailing Barrage to finish off all these workers and deal tremendous damage to that hatchery. Just eliminate that attack wave before 6 minutes, because once 6 minutes hits, I'll have to return here to defend. Anyway, I'll deep tunnel right back here to the southeast base, and again finish off the hive so that they won't continuously creep their static defense forward to my ramp. Bring this down, like so. Bringing down their defenses earlier will, prevent them from putting down static defense here, which will make it easier for Zagara to fight the Void Thrashers, which will spawn here and here later on. You can see the next part of the wave's already here. This Zergling is not made from that base. It is part of the wave that will actually come over here. You can see Bile Launchers have now been built. They're shooting this area over here. You can see it whiffs. And I kind of have to aim it here. There we go. Got a bunch of kills with that Bile Launcher. And you can see I'm trying to make these Hydras just tank. They're not even actively shooting at the enemy, which is kind of unfair. But the Bile Launchers kind of need all the help they can get to get the numbers. Next wave is on the way. I have the 2 queens here. They will be useful later on to transfuse the static defense so that they will last longer. You can see I'm just moving these guys back and forth, letting them hold the attack wave in position so that the Bile Launchers can actually shoot them down from distance, like so. Now I'm starting to add more and more static defense. You can see my mineral count and my gas count starting to creep up. Get it, creep, because it's Zerg. Also my creep, speaking of which, has already extended all the way back here and all the way out here. Now, I'm not sure how good that is compared to 1v1 creep spread. But considering I have 2 queens, I would say this is pretty decent. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's decent. You can see, next wave will come from the side, so I've started to build the static defense. I've actually put down this Bile Launcher over here, and I'll build some more over there so they can reach even further at the back. More Bile Launchers on the way. They will start shooting at the back, behind the rocks, so that they'll deal even more damage. I'll have more queens on the way soon for more transfuse. Meanwhile, I've gotten a Baling Nest to buff Zagara's Baling Barrage, because again, Zagara will need all the help she can get. I'm also getting Scourge Queen or Scourge Nest upgrades, so that my Corruptors will be better later on. You can see these roaches are getting shot at right away. That just barely hit. I almost missed it, actually. Meanwhile, attack wave here has been cleaned out. You can see the queens providing value by transfusing these spine crawlers, which were being focused on by Amon.
Infested drop is now available.
Adding more and more static defense. Zagara, static defense, as I mentioned, need a lot of attention. So you actually want to make sure to have them all in control group. You can see in this control group I have all of these static defense, and I can just target them all. I can just target them all as far as they can. Meanwhile, I have these roaches here not to attack that, but just keep them in place so that my Bile Launchers can do the actual work of deleting these waves. Meanwhile, Bile Launchers here have cleaned out the wave, and these roaches will bait these hybrids in to more Bile Launcher shots, and they will get cleaned out in short order. More queens on the way. See, now I have 5 queens. Another wave coming here. It's on the way. Adding more Bile Launchers because the next wave will come on this side. Return the queens to their original spot. You can see a bunch of enemies almost taking down this spine crawler, but they do take down the Bile Launcher back here. That is unfortunate. Meanwhile, the wave here perfectly held. Now comes the attack wave. A unified attack wave on this front. I will need to hold them in place so that my Bile Launchers can shoot them down. The nice thing about Bile Launchers is that they have so much range. It's like a worse version of Earth Splitters, but can also hit up. Wave is incoming.
Infested drop available.
It will be held in this spot ideally. Okay, some of them do make it across, but I just retarget the Bile Launchers so that they will continue hitting the enemy waves. You can see I do have a roach drop available, and I will use that in this spot to hold them here. Because in about 30 seconds, the Void Thrasher will spawn, and Zagara will need to deep tunnel over here to take care of that. Remember, I took out the hive here earlier on so that they're not able to stretch out their static defense along this pathway over here, which will be very nice because Zagara doesn't have to worry about any static defense guarding this spot, so she can just deep tunnel here without fear of reprisal. I just spawn these hunter killers and just right click the Thrasher, it will go down. Now this attack wave walking up over here, it will deal a lot of damage to that spine crawler, but I just do a transfuse and it's immediately fixed. Next wave will come on this side, so I've already started building a lot of static defense, a lot of these Bile Launchers over here, and a few spore crawlers for that air hybrid that will come. See, I'm starting to target them. This spot is actually a bit further than where the Overlord can drop. The Overlord can drop at this spot over here. So the fact that my Bile Launcher can shoot further than that means that I'm actually doing tremendous damage to them before they even land. And ideally, they won't even land. I'll shoot them down in the air. So let's see how this works. I just shoot these guys down. And once again do the walking back and forth with my hunter killers so that my Bile Launchers can shoot at the enemies held in place here, trying to kill my hunter killers. Again, try to do this little dance, just shoot them down. Bile Launchers doing tremendous work at deleting these enemy waves. Next will be a double Zerg drop, not the Overlord drop, but drop pod directly into my base. So I'll have to, you can see I've manually stopped using the attack on my Bile Launcher so that I can have them shoot immediately once the enemy wave appears. You can see I stop order them again. They're not shooting anymore, so I can know when to target. I use the stop order because these Bile Launchers have a bit of a cooldown. So I want to make sure they're off cooldown, and to do that I switch off the auto attack. You see, when I know where they land, that's when I start shooting, so that they can shoot right away. Now these people here, once again, no static defense, no roaches, because I already cleared out the hatchery or the hive that was producing all that stuff. All I have to do is delete this Void Thrasher, and we're all good. Zagara getting hit by our own Bile Launchers, but the nice thing is that there is no friendly fire in co-op. So just keep doing this, and it'll be fine. Now it goes. Next wave will be a double-pronged wave. It will come from this side, the northwest, and this side, the southeast. So once again, I need to do a double-pronged defense. And to prepare for that, I've actually started building these hatcheries here to just body block the enemy and hold them in place so that my Bile Launchers can have free shots on them without them just moving out of the way. Essentially, I've made a kill zone here that the enemy will have to break through before they can even get to my static defense. Meanwhile, I have Zagara here, also acting as the gate to the kill zone. You can see roaches dropped here. Meanwhile, this air Zerg, or this air hybrid, trying to do something, but it just moves back, gets shot down. The big hybrid is threatening, but the spine crawlers and the Bile Launchers have effectively nullified it. You can see roaches still trying to hold enemy in position. Bile Launchers doing their best, trying to hit at these spots right here, and they do a tremendous job of holding the enemy in place for as long as they can before the roaches eventually bust down the wall. But that's the last thing they do. I just simply replace this wall with a new hatchery. Next wave will come from here, this side, so once again I have to defend. It's Bile Launcher, I think, is, yeah, not even shooting. My goodness. But not for long. It is now shooting, and it will delete these guys over here. There's some that do make it through, but not before getting shot down by my Bile Launchers. You can see I also have a wall of hatcheries here, getting ready to intercept all those attack waves, or at least one or two big attack waves. Next wave will come to here, or at least get dropped directly to this spot. I made corruptors because about 4 minutes from now, or 3 minutes from now, Void Thrashers will spawn in 2 different spots. So actually, I will actually need corruptors to fight one Thrasher here while I fight the other. Or at least that's the plan. The hatchery has not yet been built. That's a bit annoying. Meanwhile, I'll keep adding more Bile Launchers to this spot. I have a total of about, that's 13 Bile Launchers. Continuously shooting at the enemy. Meanwhile, more enemies here. I have to detunnel Zagara and use Bile Launchers to clear out the rest. I do take some losses, but not before completely finishing off the enemies. Again, transfuse to keep my stuff alive. Next, I have to move my corruptors to this spot. Just a little bit of this spot. Meanwhile, Zagara will detunnel here to fight the Void Thrasher. Queen's in position. Bile Launchers shooting in front of the defense. I drop everything here. Let's try to right click on the Thrasher itself, and you can see it's not quite enough. Zagara alone is not enough. I actually managed to fight off a bonus, which is kind of nice. Now I fight this Thrasher here with my corruptors. You can see Zagara had to retreat here. Meanwhile, the wave here does manage to break through one hatchery, but not all of them. Meanwhile, my Biles need to retarget here. Unfortunately, my attention is here at this hybrid or at this Thrasher, so I wasn't able to retarget till now. This Prong, meanwhile, shooting at this hatchery while this is happening, while Zagara just defended this wave. So this is why this is what I meant. You kind of have to manage a lot of different things at once. So having static defense where you have to look at it is not a very good deal for Zagara. On paper, it hits up, it hits down, it has incredible range, and has splash damage, but in reality, you can see you need to be a pro gamer essentially, or at least a very high league 1v1 player to manage all this stuff happening on the field. I did make spore crawlers here, which do perform admirably against these air hybrids, prevent them from damaging the temple directly, but that doesn't address these 2 Thrashers, which are still whacking away at the temple, and it's continuously taking damage. Last wave time. This wave, this prong of the wave has been dealt with. That is good. That is the most dangerous wave. Now here's the last wave. Biles not sufficiently targeting. There we go. Got some hits in. That's a bit better. But this, you can see, the ramp on my side has been completely laid bare. All my defenses there have fallen. So now all I can do is hold them here directly in front of the temple. The good news is I still have Zagara. She will still defend effectively. While the front has been completely held. They did destroy the hatcheries, but not much else. Meanwhile, in the south, they also did destroy the hatcheries, damaged some of my static defense, but for the most part, it has been held. It's only on this ramp that actually was not able to hold. But despite the temple still taking a lot of damage, it is still GG. Eventually, we were able to hold, and the temple is ready to shoot, and that is victory. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. If you have an idea for what else you do, please leave a comment. Let's check out the score screen. So damage wise, we have Well, Zagara's not a static defense. We'll add 50.7% from the Bile Launchers. We'll add 5.6% from the Spine Crawlers. And we'll add... Where... Oh, the Spore Crawlers didn't even register. That is strange. Or do I just not see it? Yeah, Hunter Killer, Zagara, Bile Launcher, Spine Crawler, Roach Corruptor. Why are Spore Crawlers not here? That is interesting. Anyway, that totals to 56.3%, the lowest so far. And survival, that is temple health remaining. That's what, 1882 over 3000. That is 62.7%. Oh, that's not survival, that's temple health. There we go. The only one so far was not able to achieve a perfect temple health as Zagara with static defense. And now survival. That's 45 less 9, that's 36 Bile Launchers that survived. And that's 21 Spine Crawlers that survived. No Spore Crawler info, that's a bit unfortunate. Oh well. Divide that by 45 made Bile Launchers. Wait, I gotta do the parenthesis. 45 made Bile Launchers and 29 made Spine Crawlers, which results in a 77% survival, which is oddly not bad. 77% survived. You know, that's acceptable-ish. I lost one side, but for the most part, my stuff seems to have survived. Alright. So now, Zagara needs a lot of help from you guys. A poll will go up tomorrow asking you guys whether you like Bile Launchers and Spine and Spore Crawlers, and I guess Queens for Transfuse, relative to other co-op static defense. I'll see you guys next time.